this morning I just woke up to not being there.
Yeah. So what's the problem?
No problem. No problem. I just
surprise.
Yeah. It's just like it used to be a happening that was not happening, and now it's just the not happening.
Right, just is.
Yep. Someone just climbed in my lap.
Ah. Oh, kitty cat.
Big furry one.
Yeah, it's a fuzzy guy.
Luna.
Pretty.
Mm-hmm. And I just
Just what?
I guess I try to make some sense of it.
Now, what is there to make sense of? And what is that going to help? See, in trying to make sense of it, then you're trying again to build an identity around it.
Right. I looked at I've been following the Ron and Janie videos.
Oh,
I was looking at one of those videos, and I was just yesterday's interview with Siddhananda.
Oh my God!
And I watched that funny thing, and then I just kept thinking, what a play, what a little, what was I really seeing? Because there was something there, but I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
And then this morning, it was just like, they're not there. This is really not even taking place in one sense. This is,
Yeah, it's like another dream sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. It's the dream within the dream. That's all. Yeah, and these are some of the cognitions that one goes through along the way. That will be there for some time, and then, it will give way to something else. It's very odd, though, the first time one looks into a mirror and sees nobody there looking back.
Yeah.
Thought there was somebody here, I thought there was a very firm identity here. Surprise.
Yeah. There's so it's it's wonderful too, because the ongoing non-attachment has been great, but there was maybe still something there, and then to find out there's really nothing holding anything, and that's so you can just move, and
that's it. The body does what it does. The body continues to play out in the world and does what it does. That's all. But that's what, people don't get when you say Brahman is not attached to any of it. It's absolutely unaware of the happenings of mankind's idiocy. There's that still center, and it has no identity.
Yeah.
It's not male, it's not female, it's not an identity. It's simply, unadorned life force that's never been born and never died. and nothing sticks to it. You know, the rest of the stuff revolves around it, you know, and that's it. It just, you know, goes through the play of whatever. You know, as long as mind is still in place, though, these identifications will come in and come out. You know, it will be like a kind of a wave in an ocean. But eventually, the mind will still, and there will be the great falling away, and it won't, you know, won't come up again, won't reattach.
Yeah, I just driving to my friend's place this morning to take care of her cats. You know, it was it's been happening really the last month though, but either walking or driving or even just moving, you know, the form and movement and riding that, but not really going anyplace. Like when I'm driving, I know I'm really, you know, the reality is I'm really never going anywhere.
Right. You're everywhere at once.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, the first time things fall away, it can be quite, you know, amazing. When the world starts losing its hold and it seems like a dream state, it's real and it's unreal, and then there is no reality to it. And, you know, again, the same thing, one's attached to form, and then all of a sudden this attachment breaks. And one's walking and wondering, how is this walking happening? And yet one watches the body and it does the body stuff. That's all. But there is no, in the consciousness, it's a whole different thing that's taking place. And that's what people, you know, don't understand when they see gurus or they see people that are, you know, they go, well, I see you doing this, I see you doing that, therefore you have to be in mundane consciousness, and they don't understand that necessarily what the body is doing is not what the consciousness.
No.
There's no attachment.
No. It's like that sitting, another thing that floated by that's similar is the screen. I've been playing with my screensaver the last week trying to clean it up because it got so junky. And, you know, just that my little Mac, I can just grab all the things on there and put them in a little folder.
Yeah.
And it just felt like exactly the same thing. You know, can just wipe it, but everything is still there.
Yeah, and it
really
doesn't
didn't change
matter.
Anything.
No,
Yeah.
Nothing changes. It doesn't matter. You know, it's the play of the moment. That's all. You know what, it's not so much what the play of the moment is, it's the attachment or non-attachment, you know, that makes the difference. And then once that everything begins to deconstruct, okay, we're in a whole different ball game at that point.
Right.
You know. Yeah, but these things, they will take place and they'll continue to take place. You know, eventually one comes to that death before death and walks through that, you know. And then hopefully, you know, one doesn't at that point try to make sense of it, try to reconstruct another image around it, or an identity that's going to understand it, because then that's the downfall back into persona.
Which is what happened after my daughter, because momentarily I was completely nothing, and then trying to figure it all out.
Right, and one reconstructs an identity that causes the motion of the mind to take place and to latch on to all of these various items. That's why it's important, you know, when things deconstruct, to read the Ashtavakra Gita, to read the Vivekchudamani, because it will tell you there. You know, it's like the peepal tree. You know, you have to pull it out by the roots. If you re-water it again, it's going to spring back.
Yeah.
And all of these roots, all of these things have to be cut. Yeah.
And so I keep wondering, too, maybe like, what is the fear? Because I feel like I'm in a place of there. I can't even imagine what a fear could be. Maybe the fear is finally going to the place where you don't reconstruct at all. So maybe there, although that doesn't feel like fear right now, but I can't even imagine.
Right, but what's there to have that fear?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. One doesn't, at that point, it's best to stop looking for that. Because, again, it's another way to attempt to put a construct in to make sense of it and then to objectify it, to pull back into duality again. Okay? That's why they say, that those that speak about it do not know, and those that know do not speak. Because no words, no mental formation is it, because that is all in duality, subject-object.
Right.
So again, people don't get that, what that's saying, They don't get what it's saying. There's no word that can aptly describe or can confine it or define it. It's impossible. It's not in this realm of subject-object.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So the best thing to do is just at that point remain in the heart, and let things continue to deepen and continue to fall away, continue to deconstruct, continue to, become more settled, as one goes. Like I said, for a time there may be the time where things will come in and out and in and out and in and out. And that happens for many before there's a final falling away into a full nirvikalpa samadhi. And then
that did happen.
Yeah.
When I was in a place of not questioning and not really looking, and then some thoughts, some movement started, and then my attention was the irritation of the thought of thought. It didn't even matter what the thought was, but then there was irritation there, because It was like,
because that's right, because all thought is in the realm of suffering.
Yeah.
Even bliss, as wonderful as bliss is,
duality,
is subject to that dualistic realm and suffering. So yes, when one falls away into a nirvikalpa, when one comes back, if there's a reconstruction, it can be very difficult at that point. Yeah.
So I just left it. I just threw myself into it. I know sometimes habits make it easier to do old patterns, so I just mixed up my pattern by going out at night, a different time of day, night with the dog, and I used effort. I used effort to just really let go. By the end of the walk, it was calm again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, at this point, it's sometimes you get a point where things are held with effort, some of the samadhis, but eventually can come to the point where one will go into the nirvikalpa, and hopefully at that point they will continue in what's called the nirvikalpa sahaj, or the effortless state. And that's only there when the mind has deconstructed, it's eaten its own tail, and there's just that direct consciousness. There'll be no more rambling thoughts coming in and out. That's done. It's over. It's finished. Don't need them. Consciousness works quite well without this, drama of a chattering mind.
It's just noisy.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Well, it feels
Just
great
nice.
right now. Feels good.
So just remain in that, and don't try to look to find a way to define or construct, because again, then one is trying to build a box around it and construct back an ego that's going to get it. And no ego can ever get it. It cannot grasp it. If there is ego, forget it. Ball game over. Ball game over. You've lost it already. And then one has to go for the next round. Yeah. I think that's one of the most difficult things. When things fall away, people want to, well, oh my God, I've been in this search for so long, and now what?
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
Now what? No, there's nothing to get, nowhere to go, nothing to look for any longer.
And even all the stories about helping anyone, it's like almost all of that too, because I can't. I don't know how to.
There's no one to help. In the absolute, the Brahman is at the center of all beings. So what is there to help?
There's not. So I keep thinking of.
Yeah, like Brahman can't take care of it. In the end point, Brahman is always there. But in the play of the bodies and the thing that's going on in the realm of duality, if people ask for help, one gives that, what may be given. That's all. But ultimately,
No.
It's already there.
Yes.
It's not something that one has lost and has to recapture.
No.
And that's why we say it's dispelling the darkness. Dispelling, because it's there. It's always been there. Without it, there would be no life.
Right.
There would be no life.
There was never anything missing.
No, never has been.
Nothing's missing.
No. Never has been. We've covered it over with so many dramas that one latches into and causes that separation, feeling of separation. And that's what ego is. That throne of separation and wanting to be in control. And the more one tries to be in control, the less control is there. Because they're trying to manage something that doesn't need to be managed.
Yeah, it can only always be building some kind of fence or barrier.
Exactly.
That's any involvement is, there's just, you don't involve, you just be. You do nothing.
Really, there's nothing to do at that point, really. And I think that, again, that's part of it. The simplicity of it, when it all deconstructs, it's so simple. Yet when one is on the path and looking, if one doesn't look, they will never find. That's also true.
Yes.
If you don't begin the search, if you're not in that suffering and wanting to be out of that suffering, that you're willing to give up the world, you don't find it. It doesn't take place. So again, it's kind of like this really indescribable happening.
It's like peeking out of, if you're not even willing to peek out from under the covers, you'll always be under the covers.
Exactly.
Even though the cover's really not there.
Exactly. You'll still remain under that covering.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as a kid. You have to be willing to look and see the boogeyman is not there. Or else you'll still be in terror, under the thing about it. Oh my God, get up and turn on the light and you see, oh my God, it's not there. It's never been there, I've been running myself in this circle. Same thing with life. It doesn't matter what you're caught up in and the fears and the dramas that we hold. We are the ones that are constructing and holding those fear-based and driving forces in place. We're our own worst enemies at every turn. Yeah, that's why we say make space for grace. You've got to get out of the way and allow it to be able to come forward.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking of about a year ago when I was finishing up school, and I was trying to think of what series of paintings I was going to do. There was one idea that came through of a series of work that somehow dealt with getting over yourself, and really just calling it getting over yourself. I never figured out how to visually quite do that, but the title stayed with me. Like, this is something real to really get over yourself, because that seems to always get in the way. Anytime you really start to look, you start to meditate, and there is something there. It's always you. It's always only you.
Right. Or a construct of what one thinks is a you.
Yes.
The illusory construct that one has been holding in place.
Right. I was, because the idea too this morning at some point was what I thought was home was not home as far as self.
Right.
Because when I started to, like, there's no one home, there's no one here, there's no one home, but I am home, but what I thought was home is not home.
Right. Nothing to be separate about.
And that's the only little tricky part, is if you are dealing with someone, when you are dealing with someone and you are in transition, you're in the transient, even aware of the transient, you're dealing with that, and it's someone who's bumping up against themselves, and you want to just say there's nothing there to bump against, but it's two different languages going on at the same time.
Right.
And
right.
I don't know how to navigate that.
Right, and that's one thing. When you're dealing with people, you have to start where they are in the consciousness. Mm-hmm. If they're really, really locked into the transient and the suffering and the pain and the drama, one has to begin there and begin to unravel it step by step. Mm-hmm. And that's some of the problem I have with some of the satsang sellers that are just saying, there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to get. Just be that. Well, people don't know how to be that. They're not that at that point. They're only cognizing a separation of suffering. All the constructs, that's all they're seeing at that point. So you can't. That's cruel to say that to somebody that's in suffering.
Yeah, my daughter tells me that every now and then when I try, although I've just shut up, because as I learn to just listen, she doesn't know that, but she's kind of beginning to work through it herself. Mm-hmm. But she will tell me, when that's not even fair to say. Yeah. And it's true when she says that.
It's not at that point, because, they have to make the journey, and then it unravels step by step. It unravels step by step. And you can get to one point that one never knows what the trigger will be, where it will all deconstruct. But when one is in that suffering mode of feeling separation and all of the rest of this drama going in, then you have to deal with it at that level, at that point in time. But the further that one goes and these things begin to loosen up, then one can, get the more direct pointings. Now you could understand it. If I would have given you this at the very beginning, you wouldn't have understood. That's where you have to begin with, well, just be with what's here now. Don't add, don't take away from it. Just, one has to begin at a level where people can begin to access, at least starting to learn how to be a little bit more in the moment instead of trying to be in the past or projecting the future and everywhere else other than here. That's why you can't even tell people, well, be here, be in this moment, because they don't understand what that is either. They're rummaging in the past and they think, well, I'm in this moment with it, but they're not. They're still in the past drama. So again, it's understanding where people are in this moment, and then you begin to give them what they can relate to, where they're at. They can start the process of going inward and looking more deeply and not being so caught up, so it can begin to cut, all the dramas and all the constructs and projections. That's all. Yeah, people make it harder than it needs to be many times, and so many people come in and, well, when am I going to get the realization? Like I have a crystal ball, and it's like all you can say is it's either there or it's not. That's it. If it's not there yet, you're still on the path, and that's all one can say, because it's not like a linear thing where you can say, well, you're X amount of time away.
Right.
Oh, there they go. Oh, there we got the one going from here too. You tell. Yeah. Ooh, woofy. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
She doesn't like that.
No, he's doing a, in the throat thing. It's so funny. Oh, okay, 3 pounds of trouble. He's so funny sometimes.
It's cute. I've got a little poodle, Ava, who belonged to April, so she's living here now, and but she's cream.
Yeah.
So hard to keep clean.
Oh yeah, that kind of color is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, he has his own challenges, but that's another thing.
I have more flowers to play with today. I'm helping a friend out get ready for a party, so I'm helping her with flowers.
Oh, that's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun to do, the flowers and the energy of it. And you can feel when it feels right, it'll have a shift.
Yeah.
So excellent. So this would be a nice video for people to be able to see. It would be a nice one to share if you were open to that.
Sure.
Yeah, this is a nice one for people that are coming to that stage and to be able to hear what it is like to be at that point of the journey. As one would say, the journey. Where one goes nowhere in the end.
The journeyless journey.
Journeyless journey. The longest journey, and one goes nowhere in the end.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's way
I know, it's hysterical when one looks at it.
traveling that's not happening.
It's traveling that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you go halfway around the world to find out there was nowhere to go.
One of the funny things, too, that happened recently that was, part of everything, but everything's part of everything. But so the husband has a trip coming up, and he's leaving on some kind of particular day, whatever. And I'm like, why? This should bother me. Why isn't this bothering me? And it's like, because I'm not left out of anything. I mean, there is absolutely nothing. I'm not left out of anything. There's nothing missing. I mean, there's nowhere going happening, and I'm not left out of anything. It's really all complete. I mean, complete is a word that does still work.
Yeah.
And complete is what it is.
Again, there's a whole shift of consciousness. It's like, when something happens, it's thoroughly enjoyed. Like I went recently to the Gypsy Kings concert, and it was thoroughly enjoyed. Was there a looking forward to it? No. It's not in place yet until that moment. And when it's done, it's as if it never happened.
Yes.
It's just that odd thing. It's that very odd thing that happens.
Raj just comes and goes.
Raj, quit barking. The phone is ringing, so I think somebody's coming up.
Yeah, it's like the doorbell.
Yes. So it's one of those things. One doesn't look forward to something. There's no regret about something. There's no, none of that emotional drama comes up around things.
No. I have another thing that's funny now. It is quite hilarious. Is that I have friends that want to go to the beach this summer with me. And I'm like, I'm all for going to the beach. I'm all for doing anything you want to do. You guys, I'll do it. But you guys plan it, because I can't even generate. I can't. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They plan
That's it. And people ask me all the time. They want me to do this and do that, and I have no plans. I can't construct it. It's the same thing with the satsang. It happens spontaneously. I can't go in and arbitrarily construct something. It's not there to do that. If somebody asks something, then it comes forward. That's all. But otherwise, there's no thought about it that comes up, and this needs to happen, that needs to happen. It's that's so not there any longer. Yeah. When everyone goes somewhere, it's thoroughly enjoyed, but the thought about going there doesn't arise. There's no anxiousness about it. There's no looking forward to it. There's none of that any longer. And it's the oddest thing, when you're before in the mind, you're all about Christmas and Easter and all these things, and when it deconstructs, it's none of that comes up any longer.
No,
none of that.
They keep you so that there's at least two other friends involved, and so they have these ideas of why this or that, or dates or plans, and I just said, you guys do that, because it really doesn't matter at all. Whichever decision is made, I'll be there for the ride,
Exactly. It's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good. Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and this was Namaste, and thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Guruji, so much.
Well, you're quite welcome.